Time now is 6:11 p.m. This begins Media 7 on the record.
Really quick before I wrap up, we were just talking about your colleagues, Armstrong, Anikin, Davis, and Gruenbaum. Remember that?
Yes.
Okay. Was it your understanding that they were taking direction from Elon and others affiliated with the White House?
My understanding is that they had the relationships and spoke very closely with constituents all involved in the administration. So whether they were taking direction, I knew that they had close relationships. I couldn't tell you specifically.
Okay. Okay. That's all I've got. I'll pass the witness to my colleague, Kyla, who's on Zoom, I believe.
Before we do that, I'm just going to put on the record that pursuant to the federal rules, in order to take a deposition remotely, you're supposed to get the agreement from the others involved, which did not happen here, but in the interest of efficiency, defendants are willing to move forward if the witness also is.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for that. I'm going to ask a few questions. I know we're getting towards the end of the day, and so we're just going to, I'll keep this pretty short. So I'm Tyler Snow from the ACLS plaintiffs. And I first just wanted to return to testimony, your testimony earlier about the determination process. And if I remember correctly, you said that Michael McDonald told you on a phone call that he wanted you to execute termination notices. Is that right?
But he wanted you to.
To execute the termination notices. Is that correct?
On a phone call or in person, I don't remember. But he wanted us to execute after we solidified the list.
Okay.
Procedurally, he wanted us to go and notify these grantees.
Okay, and when would he have to do that? Do you remember generally?
At some point before I queued up that email, sometime in mid-March, I would guess. The email being the template for here's what we could say, give us your input. So I assume that that email was sent before the terminations went out. So at some point before then, either in person or over the phone, he wanted us to procedurally handle communications.
Okay. I'm going to introduce just one exhibit. This is, and it looks like we're on exhibit 16. This is in the record as AR 13, and I just put it in the chat.
I just put in exhibit 17. They've already marked exhibit 16. I can check.
I think the reporter noted that this would be Exhibit 17.
Yes, sorry, it is exhibit 17. Sorry about that.
And sorry, AR what?
13. And can you see this on your screen?
Yes.
Okay, I will, I think you've seen this initial email before, so this is an email from you to Michael McDonald and Adam Wilson with a Kavanaugh copy. On March 28th at 11:07 a.m., you saw this earlier, you recall seeing this initial email earlier.
I recall seeing what? I missed that, sorry.
Do you recall seeing this initial email earlier?
Yes.
You're passing along a spreadsheet with, DEI or waste management grant. I want to look at this email response from Capcom.
I'm sorry, you have to repeat that.
I want to look at this email response from Michael Kavanaugh. It's dated March 13th at 4:28 p.m. I'll zoom in a little bit more. And I'll just give you the chance to read it. Please let me know when you're ready.
Okay.
So he says you have the, he says, to recap, you have the first spreadsheet from Brett. And these are spreadsheets that he and, that Michael McDonald and Adam Wolfson reviewed and sent to OMB, listing all the applications implicated by the NA. So he says,
I'm sorry, you'll have to start your question over, I cannot hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry. I think it's a little echoey. So.
Hold on, you need to speak closer to the microphone. The AC is blasting in this room, we can hardly hear you.
Okay. I'll see what I can do. Is this any better?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, so in this email, McDonald says, you have the first spreadsheet from Brett that Adam and I reviewed it, sent to OMB. And he said, we were getting ready to cancel them today, but understand that you will do so. He then says that it's the second list of grants, the NA that you prepared and that we reviewed today. As you instructed, we have only excluded the ones that seem not to conflict with the administration's priorities, such as the future of George Washington. And again, he says, we understand that you will cancel this list of projects as well. Why would he say we were getting ready to them today, but understand that you will do so? This seems to contradict him asking you to terminate, to execute the termination.
Objection.
When Mike says we were getting ready to cancel them today, as we discussed, Mike and I discussed, this process would have taken weeks for the team to do. So he wanted us to do it. That's why he said, understand that you will do so.
Why would he say that we were getting ready to cancel them today then?
Objection.
What is your understanding of why he would say we were getting ready to cancel them today?
He was getting ready procedurally to begin the process of canceling. But because of our conversation, he understands that we will do it.
It doesn't sound like he's getting ready procedurally to cancel them. He says we were getting ready to cancel them today. It
Objection.
sounds like he's ready to cancel them.
Objection.
Is that a question?
I mean, is that what it says? We were getting ready to cancel them today?
That is what it says.
Okay. Sorry, one moment. So, if Michael McDonald were testified that he was planning to cancel the grants on Monday, March 31st. Would that be false?
Objection.
Could you clarify in this hypothetical when Michael was going to cancel them, and would that be on the same day?
This email is dated Monday, March 31st. And Michael McDonald says, we were getting ready to cancel these grants today, while understand that you can do so. So, this seems to indicate he was getting ready to cancel them on Monday, March 31st, the same day that he sent this email to you.
Objection.
If he testified in his deposition that he was getting ready to cancel them on Monday, March 31st, would that be false?
Objection.
I don't know. I know that Mike and I have had discussions, and Nate and Adam, that the procedures for canceling these grants in their existing process was going to take hours and weeks of their time. So when he says we are getting ready to cancel them today, there is a big procedural element for them. And that was what we've talked about, that this is a multi-week process for them to cancel and terminate grants.
When did the actual cancellation notifications go out?
If I remember correctly, the 1st of April.
So that was the next day, right?
Yes.
Okay. I want to stop sharing my screen. I don't. Oh, there it is. Taking that down. So can you set up the email account that was used to send the termination notices?
Who? Was that the question?
Yes.
I did.
Okay. And who had access to that account when it was first set up? Was it only you?
And the sysadmin administrator could have access to all the data associated.
Is the sysadmin administrator GSA at GSA?
I believe it was Brett Bobley, who was the CIO.
Okay. And when the notices were sent on April 1st from that account, did you send those notices?
Did I send the termination notices?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Where were you when you sent the termination notices? Were you at GSA? In your office or anywhere else?
At GSA.
Okay. Was anyone else with you?
Maybe Nate. We sat next to each other at GSA, often late at night. I don't know. I don't remember if he was there or not.
Okay. But you hit send on the email notices that went out on April 1st?
After getting the full guarantee and approval from Mike, yes.
Okay. Okay. I just want to be clear on the understanding of DEI as relates to the grants, the review of the grants. Is it your position that if an studied one particular race or gender, that would be DEI.
I missed one word there. Could you repeat?
Is it your position that if an award studied one particular race or gender, that would relate to DEI?
If you are one particular race or gender, would that relate to DEI? That's the question.
If the award relates to one particular, if the award relates to the study of one particular race or gender, is that DEI?
Objection.
That depends on the grant, the full grant description and the context of what the award is delivering.
Okay, but if the award were, the purpose of the award, you were to study a particular aspect of Black culture, is that DEI?
Objection.
It depends on the full breadth of the award, the full description that gives context to its relation to DEI or not.
Sorry, 1 minute. Okay, if the full description of an award were to study 21st the Black, sorry, if the full description of the award were, quote, to study 21st century Black culture, unquote, is that DEI?
Again, there's a lot of context that comes with the full grant descriptions. So if you have one particular grant in mind, we can review that and we can talk about whether we believe it relates or not. But without that, you can't determine fully if it's fully related.
Okay, those are all of my questions.
And I just have a few questions. You were asked some questions by plaintiff's counsel earlier about communications via signal. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Did you have any substantive discussions about grant terminations at any age via signal?
No.
Objection to form.
Did you have any substantive discussions about grant terminations at any age with Josh Gruenbaum?
No.
Did you have any substantive discussions about grant terminations at any age with Anthony Armstrong?
No.
Did you have any substantive discussions about grant terminations at any age with Mike Sullivan?
No.
Did you have any substantive discussions about grant terminations at any age with Steve Davis?
No.
Did you have any substantive discussions about grant terminations at any age with Steve Ahikian?
No.
Did you have any substantive discussions about grant terminations at any age with Ryan Lepert?
No.
So you've testified today about various communications that you had involving Nate Kavanaugh, Michael McDonald, and folks at NEH about grants for potential termination. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And did you also testified that you had some communications with the attorney, Justin Amonetti, relating to actions taken at NEH. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Other than those individuals, did you have discussions with anyone else about which grants to terminate at NEH and for which reasons?
No.
No further questions.
How much time do we have?
We're at 6:53.
I'll ask a few more follow-ups. Do you remember the X post that you sent to Mr. McDonald's on May 20, 2025?
The X post.
There was an X post about the NEH that you tipped Mr. McDonald off to in a Cellbrite text report, and he responded saying, yes, I saw it, it's this one, with the X link in the text. Do you remember that conversation?
Yes.
Okay. And you said that you played a role in drafting that X post, is that right?
Yes.
What was that X post about again?
Grants.
NEH grants, right?
Yes.
That had been canceled, is that right?
Yes.
Did you post that on X yourself?
No.
Did Nate Kavanaugh post that on X?
No.
Who posted that on X?
I don't know.
Okay. But it wasn't you and it wasn't Nate, right?
No.
Okay. Who did you submit the draft to for that X post?
I don't remember.
You don't remember who?
Nate and I worked on it, and I don't know when it left from draft form with Nate. But that being said, we were all in person at GSA.
It's your understanding that some of the higher ups within the DOGE team were controlling the DOGE X account. Is that right?
Objection.
You testified to this earlier.
Objection, and I'm also going to note that thus far this redirect doesn't appear to have anything to do with the questions that I asked, which it would have to in order to be an appropriate redirect.
It does. Go on.
Could you just go back on the question?
I can strike my question. Is it your understanding that DOGE team members like Armstrong, Gruenbaum, Davis would have been DOGE members with access to key decision making, like what gets posted on the DOGE X account?
Objection.
I don't know for certain.
Okay. Do you have a hunch?
Objection.
My best guess would be those guys know who has control or who posts. But I don't know anything for certain.
Okay. And that post was exclusively about NEH, right?
The post that we walked through?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So is it fair to say that someone higher up on the DOGE team with access to the X account for DOGE had been part of a draft or received a draft explicitly and exclusively about NEH grant terminations?
Objection.
Well, all of my terminations and reporting contracts and grants were going through Josh Gruenbaum, who is head of Federal Acquisition Services. That's how they understand where the flow of money is flowing from. So the X post was about historical terminations. Same information that I would have shared with, or that I did share with Josh as part of the normal course of collecting contracts and grant termination information.
And that's including NEH grants, right?
Yes.
Okay. That's all I've got.
Time is 6:35. We need 7 today's deposition off the record.